Hi there, this is Gary MacDougall, and what I want to talk to you about today is about going from like a place of being overwhelmed, feeling overwhelmed, to finding peace in your life. I'm kind of stuttering there. Finding peace in your life, maybe still a little bit overwhelmed. Um, yeah, so just wanted just talk about that process a little bit and how I was feeling overwhelmed this week. Um, just feeling overwhelmed. Well, just with some, you turn on the TV. There's wars going on. There's a teacher's strike. There's the pipeline. People are making a lot of stuff about that. And yeah, so there's a lot of overwhelming stuff in the news. There's a lot, and on a personal level, I think a lot of people are going through overwhelming feelings. So it's where do you pick your battles? What's the way? What's the solution? And yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about that. So one of the ways I was feeling really overwhelmed this week, and just to share a little story is we're driving with our kids in the car with three kids, and things were getting kind of crazy because we were driving down the road trying to get to the ocean, and there was a race going on, a bike race. I think there was a bike race going on. Every road we'd kind of go down, kind of run into like people would want to turn us around because we couldn't go that way. So the kids were getting a little bit crazy. So we just kind of pulled over and we said a little prayer, just asking for the light to guide us, asking for God just to guide us to like a good place, a place where we could have fun with our family and enjoy the day. And and so we said this little prayer, and we just kind of started driving, and just kind of took a new route we hadn't really gone, and got close to the ocean, but not quite there. So we just parked the car and decided to walk down. We ended up going to this place in Dallas Road, this place in Victoria, that was really beautiful spot, and it was a sunny day. And we started walking on the rocks, and all of a sudden, like everybody's mood changed. We were outside, we were having fun. The kids were having fun walking on the rocks. It was a little bit scary for the little ones, but we were holding them and having fun. And we ended up on this beach I'd never been on, like been here for almost 20 years now, and I'd never been on this beach. So we're having fun, and it was a sunny day, and it's getting to the close to the end of summer, and the water was freezing and starting to get hot. And I just had this feeling like the mood had changed. We felt good, felt alive, and I was kind of thinking about my father too because he just turned 60. And the spirit of my father, I felt like I'm going to celebrate this day, and to honor him, I'm going to run into the ocean the same way, that he always kind of taught me he would when we used to vacation in Prince Edward Island as a kid. So I kind of got into my swim shorts and just dove into the water. And the water was freezing, but it was so refreshing. I just felt my spirit come alive, and just started thinking about how grateful I was, to be alive in that moment. How grateful I was, to have a father. How grateful I was to be there with my family. I have three beautiful children and a beautiful wife, and yeah, I started thinking about the ocean. So you go from like a bad place, and then things get so good, and then I was thinking about the ocean, thinking about so something I was thinking about locally and about the environment was just how do we treat sewage sludge? And I was thinking about that because I know that in Victoria we dump it into the ocean. So, I get on these tangents sometimes where I just start thinking about things. I start researching on the computers. Our kids wake up early in the morning, put on cartoons. I don't like watching cartoons. So, I'll research things on the internet. And I started getting overwhelmed because I learned that, I started thinking about it. And just bear with me here because this could get gross, or it could get like overwhelming or disgusting. So I just started thinking about we dump our sewage sludge into the ocean. The pee and the poo, whatever. It's not a big deal. It washes away. It's organic. It can wash back. It can get recycled. Whatever. It's gross, but it's not so bad. But it's the chemicals that get washed down there, and they just go to the ocean. We eat fish from the ocean, and our fish have to deal with all the chemicals we put in there, all the runoff from hospitals, all the runoff from all the industry in the city. And I just started thinking about that. I got kind of disgusted. I did some research, and I noticed that in 1991 the states banned dumping into the ocean. But here we are in Victoria, all environmental and ahead of the times. There are lots of kids in the university and stuff, very environmental and very into like alternative ways of life and stuff. But we still dump into the ocean. So I was feeling really overwhelmed. And, like, what do we do about this? So my hope and my prayers is that the politicians find a solution. They're looking for a solution. They want to put a treatment center in, and there's sewage sludge or biosolid treatment centers all over North America. That's how they treat the sludge. But then I found out that what they do once it's treated, they turn it into compost. They mix it with like carbon, like wood chips and leaves and stuff, and they put it back on farmers' fields. That's when it got really sick and disgusting. I was like, our food is grown in sewage sludge, and the Environmental Protection Agency, they'll say things like they test it for heavy metals, and they test it for they make sure that it goes through a heating process so pathogens are killed. But with science, they tend to look for certain things, but they don't look for everything. They don't look for the medications that might get washed in there. They don't look for whether the plants that are grown in them, if they uptake those medications or if they uptake heavy metals. So there is testing, but it's not. But the testing is done by the people that want the biosolids, want the sewage sludge into the soil. So I was getting really overwhelmed with this, really disgusted, and just really sat with it, sat with those feelings, and sat with the state of the world right now. And I just thought about how if there's an economic advantage to putting soil or sewage sludge into soil, there's an economic advantage to it. But is there an advantage to our health for doing that? Can that hurt our body? So my hope and my prayer is that municipal leaders today and in the future can not just think about the economic advantages of things, but think about how it affects our environment. Because if we're eating this food and eating foods that are uptaking heavy metals, uptaking these disgusting things, that can make us really sick. And what's the economic, ramifications of that down the road if we're eating things with heavy metals? Like, how is that affecting our bodies and health? So I was getting really overwhelmed with that. And one of the things I did find was organic farmers aren't allowed to put biosolids onto their farm. They would lose their organic status. So there's a big relief in that. I'm not looking to preach organic farms and organic stuff, but I just keep on finding this information that's just like, oh, thank God there are people out there that organic farm. Thank God there are people that care enough that may not make as much money but care enough about the land, care enough about the soil, and care enough about our health, and see that this is a part of the solution. So as much as things might be overwhelming, I think it's all about, as each individual, it's all about picking our battles and finding solutions. So it's not like it's getting overwhelmed with things, but feeling it, like feeling the problems in the world, feeling the problems in your relationship, feeling all the feelings that you have right in front of you, and just feeling it and just letting it out. And as I think, as we don't numb out to it, we take time to sit through meditation or go to sweat lodges or do your yoga or whatever people do for the process. If you can just take your time to go into your body and feel what's come up, what the world is showing you, there's an opportunity there to heal. There's healing for me in feeling that overwhelmness. A part of the healing for me was like raising my consciousness to a level of like, I am going to eat more organic foods. I am going to support those farmers. I am going to support the earth because I'm concerned for my health and the health of my children and the health of all living things in the environment. So feel your feelings throughout and just taking time to work through it. And also on the other side of that is taking time to feel your feelings and then seeing what part am I in the solution. Like, some people have commented, oh, you're so passionate about gardening, why don't you think of a career in gardening or helping people? And I have, like, that's something that I've done. I've done it, but I always felt like there's a part of me that was like, there's something more. And that more, I've sat in meditation, I've sat in prayer, and the feelings I get, the sense I get is that I'm supposed to help people with their feelings. I'm supposed to help people work through it. I'm supposed to help people align with their souls and connect with their heart, connect with love, connect with God, however they want to see it, however they want to call it, and put that love, allow that love just to flow through us and guide us into action, into our careers. So yeah, that's a bit of a promo there, but that's what I do, and yeah, so that's why I'm dedicating my life to helping people, to being of service, to encouraging men to feel their feelings, being more whole. Something that I was thinking about was like the way of the peaceful warrior. I think there's a book written about that, and I think I might have written it or picked it up 15, 20 years ago. But it's like being that peaceful warrior. It's not creating another war. It's not going out and creating another fight. It's finding love and allowing that love to express itself. So going from being totally overwhelmed, feeling that pain, and seeing like, what is my part in the solution of this problem? So I'm pimping organic farming. I'm pimping being a whole person and healing and loving and loving each other and being compassionate towards it. But it's hard to be compassionate if you're feeling anger or feeling hurt. So yeah, just feel those feelings and get through them and see what's on the other side of them. Cry it out, talk it out, but don't fight it out. Fighting doesn't help. Fighting in a relationship doesn't help. Something that was kind of about being, you can get overwhelmed in relationships, and like, a relationship can be an amazing path to enlightenment, a path to love, a path to compassion, if we don't blame the other. If we just take those feelings and own our feelings and work through the feelings. Again, working through the anger, the frustration. Just work through it and get to a loving place. It's like, wow, relationships will push every button. They'll push every problem you have, every anger, and you'll wonder, where's the love gone? The love never disappears. It just gets hidden by our anger, by our sadness, our pain. So we just take that time to ourselves just to work through that as a spiritual way of life, as a practice. Not a religious thing, just like a spiritual thing of working through it. Getting into our hearts, feeling our feelings, and getting to a better place. So my prayer to people, to this land, is that to everyone, is that we can work through that pain, take the actions that it takes to get to a good place inside. Take the actions to get us thinking about how we can best live on this land, how we can best live in harmony with ourselves, but also harmony with all living things. Just on a final note, I was reading an article in the Huffington Post, and it was by Joseph Marshall, and he was a Lakota writer, and really interesting article about how the Lakota people, the spiritual way of life, they have a respect for all living things, and he was just wondering if the Lakota people could help the white people. And I know from a white person's perspective, I spent a lot of time in sweat lodges and going to ceremonies, and it was through spending time with those brothers and sisters and really with their encouragement to heal and feel my feelings that I became a lot more compassionate towards myself. I became to heal myself and lived a much more purposeful, loving life. And so I know that way of life, the Lakota way of life, I know that they do help people. He was wondering if Lakota could help white people. I know just by them speaking up, speaking loving, speaking about respect for the land, that does help people. It makes people think. So they've definitely helped me, and so lots of love to those Lakota people that are still doing ceremony, and lots of love to you if you're suffering and you can heal, and this life can be kind of crazy, but I really find as we shift into that loving place, life can get really amazing too. So lots of love to you.